was doing all the maintenance of the Twin Towers, miraculously, just one day prior to it, filed for bankruptcy. Disappeared. The documentation was all fraud. They never traced down who the real individuals were.
This is getting retarded. So I think that... No, wait.
You're interrupting.
Let me say, I think that 9/11 was like a fucking sketch.
Well, hold on. I'll let you go.
Stupid shit.
I know. Okay, you can think that. Just let him finish, and then you.
And so it's not only that, right? Then if you look into this messaging called ODGO, right? There were exactly the people that, and I gotta say, little hats. I'm not gonna say it's not that I give a fuck, but it's a different story. They actually did get messages not to show up at work that day. There was evidence of this. It's not.
No evidence. It's been debunked.
Certain ones, and then you have like the Rothschild who wasn't in that day. You have Larry Silverstein and his two kids who were there every day, but they weren't there.
It was comical. You had to go to the dermatologist. Remember?
Yeah.
He literally had a look. And not to forget when I by now, of course, almost after 25 years, I know exactly how to say it, right? When he had like a phone
Maybe
call
they came in late.
I'm almost done, June, press the button. You got so many buttons in front of you. Act interesting. And exactly on that, on the day itself, right, when the Twin Towers had already collapsed many hours later, right, this Larry Silverstein is literally saying on an interview that he had a phone call from the firefighter chief, right, whatever he was. We had such a terrible loss of life. We decided to pull it. Right? Pulling it means literally pulling, like pressing the button, bringing the building down, right? Do you know how many months it takes to prepare a building of that size, right? 47 floors, the Solomon Brothers building, building 7, right? To prepare that, to bring that down, right? In exactly the way we saw, which was like controlled demolition. So there is not even a question that the United Snakes of Gay was involved in it. They were. And they did that hand in hand with Israel.
God damn it. My Jewish handler said I have to shut this down. Guys, I do not want to be brought to a black site. Excuse me. I'm sorry. These Jews have me so flustered. I do not want to be brought to a black site, so I have to shut it down. Ow, Rabbi, stop! Ow! Stop!
Cities, blue cities, black people. That's it. They found something that stuck. And now we're talking about it. And now we got black people. It's amazing to me. And I'm reading the chat, and it's amazing, Queen.
Goshi is when they would do the most land grabs. They would steal the most land and put up the most settlements. And this, so I can't imagine what they would do if there was full normalization and Palestinians were not included. What happened in Gaza would have happened to in the entirety of the West Bank. It would have had to. There's nowhere else to. There's no other equation where Israel would be able to have, normalized relations. And when they say normalized relations, they're meaning goods are going back and forth between Israel and the Gulf countries. This is what normalized relations means. It's very profitable for all parties. But so knowing this, is there an equation where there's normalized relations, so there's no reason to keep the Palestinians around, and the Palestinians would be in the way of making a lot of money with the Gulf states? this is why I believe
But why
the
can't
resistance was necessary.
But why can't the PA be involved in that? They're like legitimate. They've managed to thwart Hamas for 20 years. Like, why can't they be part of this like economic growth situation?
So the PA is so extremely corrupt that they have single digit support in the West Bank. They are extremely corrupt, and
what about this hypothetical reform PA that everyone talks about?
That means no PA. Reform PA means there won't be a PA, which is fine, and I think Mahmoud Abbas recognizes this, because now that's been strategically placed on as a condition. Elections means no PA and no Hamas. Like, people are not going to vote for the old guard anyways. Hamas already said multiple times, including in writing from the last ceasefire agreement, that they will not be a part of the government. They invite a board, a technocratic interim government, to be formed, not from Gaza, but from all of Palestinian society. They are not looking to be on the board or lead it. I think they said they wanted one position temporarily, but not a leading position.
Do you believe that? Do you see them as genuine in this?
Yes, because in the 2010s, they've tried to get the PA to come in and administer and be the government in Gaza. The Al-Qassam, which is the resistance, they did not
went from
want to
pushing
be...
people off buildings to wanting them to rule? They're still not...
Yeah, this was pushing people off of buildings. If you read, and this is mainstream media, not conspiracy theory, Bush had sent over, after Hamas won, because they were so corrupt. I mean, they built a casino in Jericho. They were stealing money from the Palestinian people. I mean, keep in mind, the PA and Arafat were thrust upon the Palestinians. We did not ask for them. We did not. We welcomed them.
But did you guys ask? Like, I don't know if you're like. I feel like Gazans now feel like Hamas is to blame for their ruin. Like, there's literally like it's not that it's their fault that Israel.
Where did you get that from?
So I don't know. I just see maybe my social media algorithms are warped, but it does seem like a lot of Gazans are fed up with Hamas and blame them for the destruction of Gaza. Like, even though obviously the Israeli government is the one that dropped the bombs, they feel like Hamas miscalculated with October 7. Now literally a society that, even though it wasn't ideal, is flattened to the ground.
Like, can you show us an example of what your algorithm shows you about people?
So I just see people in Gaza like cursing out Hamas, like saying we're done.
Mass protest.
Yeah, Hamas. You have to remember.
No, not even mass protests. Just people just being like, after an attack, like, what the fuck, like Hamas, like, why did you do this to us? Why are you keeping hostages in our neighborhoods? Why are you putting us in danger? Like, they just feel like they're being used.
My social media, I don't really use it. But shut the fuck up, you fake rabbit. Shut up.
Come on, boo.
Okay.
So you are a dumbass.
So actually,
you're seeing there's people in Gaza that are not protesting. There's people in Gaza not protesting.
So the only protest that happened in
you can't even accept that Gaza people.
I do see individuals. It might be anecdotal. I do see individuals that are cursing out Hamas.
No. I'm just very Palestinians, Palestine, influencers inside of Gaza, people inside of Gaza, and I never really came across a video or a post that says people inside of Gaza are against Hamas.
Of course they are, you dumbass.
I'll share some.
Show me.
Wait, stop. Wait, Abu Abaida, can I share? Hold on, Abu Abaida, can I just share? And you guys can go back and talk, but I don't want to dominate.
I don't want to dominate with you. Like,
let me just.
You're fake.
Hold on.
Abu, check your back channel.
Hold on. Why are we devolving into this? Hamas, we are using the word Hamas here. Before October 7th, Hamas ruled very loosely. People were not, Hamas had their sort of political base, but it was one of multiple political bases. And as a matter of fact, Fatah had a political base in Gaza. So criticism of Hamas was before October 7th and continued after October 7th, which is natural if you have multiple political.
But they had the We Want to Live campaigns, right? We Want to Live protests that ended up with brutal suppression by Hamas, right?
I wouldn't say that they were. They were last year. I think the end of last year, they had people filming these protests. They were very small, and I think they were aimed more at the Israelis saying that we want to live, and saying, okay, if it's Hamas, then we reject Hamas. Now stop killing us. That was the point of those campaigns, that We Want to Live campaigns. But the We Want to Live was a planned out, structured. I don't want to call it propaganda, because people do feel this way, that the war should be over, but they also know, in black and white, like they know for certainty, because everybody sees it, not just in Gaza, but in Israel. They see the obstacle is not Hamas, but is Netanyahu. I mean, keep in mind, Hamas accepted.
I think Netanyahu and Hamas are filling each other's. They're aligned in their interests, right? Both want the war continue, and they're
Hamas signed a ceasefire agreement, which they abided by. And the way that Israel broke it, they decided to break it, is to bomb tents.
Let's be honest, both parties are acting in bad faith. You have to.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm asking you, how is it? What can you point to that tells you, okay, Hamas is acting in bad faith?
Well, so why are they hiding underground while civilians are dying, and then saying, yes, it's worth the risk? The civilians don't approve of this. I sent like 16, I can keep adding, but there's like dozens and dozens of links from my social media feed of Hamasniks saying Hamas ruined our homeland. Fuck you guys.
So when Israel killed the leader of the resistance itself, Sinwar, where was he? Was he hiding? He wasn't hiding.
Right. So that's an argument they make, but he did. So that's one narrative of the video that came out of him.
No. Where was he? He was actually. I don't know if you got the story. He was in the south, Rafah area. I don't think he was in Rafah, but he was literally fighting for most of his time, and especially for at that time days, and he was fighting the Israelis along with his squad or team or whatever you want to call them.
One second. You read
and it's not just him.
And the links that you sent, the person that is speaking or the people that are speaking against Hamas are the ones who suffered or had a family member that was killed, and the rest of the crowd is silent. Did you notice that?
There were also protests where it was like a group of people, but like I said, it was anecdotal.
Did you notice?
I did. Listen, I know Caesar. That's why I called it anecdotal. It's anecdotal, but like it does seem like there is opposition to Hamas in the Gaza Strip. That's all I'm saying. Because anecdotal only says it's individuals, right? But I do see small protests and individuals cursing Hamas very publicly at their own. But
that was happening before, because you have, remember. And that's why I said this to you at the beginning. We are using the word Hamas to describe the resistance. However, the resistance encompasses a myriad of political parties. So a lot of them are against Hamas, have always been.
Is this cannon fodder? Like, you think they like to be cannon fodder for the Hamas cause, for the Palestinians? They just want to fucking survive, right? They're fucking kids. They want to survive. Why would they want to be?
Hamas is not killing them. Who's killing them?
No,
Israel's
okay.
killing them, but they know they're dealing with a
Okay.
genocidal maniac, which is Bibi Netanyahu and his right-wing coalition. So why would they continue to provoke them?
So what do you suggest?
Because October 7 was a
How do they
huge
provoke them?
provocation. It was a major escalation of what happened.
But what happened? I think you said this before, that were to exchange hostages for Palestinian hostages.
This is true.
In
Yes.
October.
Three
And
times.
October-
Yes, but October 7 was a huge provocation. Let's be real here.
3 times. 3 times they offered it.
Edward, you don't think October 7 was unjustified? You
Yeah, all the hostages and come to an agreement.
No,
I just-
no, I'm not saying that. I have my own theories of what happened on October 7th. But we don't have to get into that. And these are only my theories and not fact.
Okay.
But what is fact is when October 7th did happen, Sinwar told the hostages, and the hostages repeated this, the ones that were released, that you're only going to be here for a few days.
Yeah, I did read all that, and I did see the recent report in Israeli media that showed that Hamas had offered to release some, and the Israeli government wasn't receptive because they were so bent on revenge. Right? There was a new TV.
Yeah. So why would Hamas? So Hamas went in. They captured the soldiers. They went back. They captured. They went. And the area was nobody was securing the area for over 6 hours on the Israeli side. Hamas had already left the area and were now going,
You condemn Hamas, Edward.
So what was
going to the military?
Edward, what was Hamas's goal? Because I'm very confused about their goal. I had that one article I float around that everyone thinks is just hearsay, which is fine. Maybe it is. But then what is their goal with invading Israel in this manner?
The goal in this specific case was Hamas understands, Palestinians understand, that in Israeli society, a soldier that's captured is worth way more than a civilian that's captured. Way more. So Hamas was going after these small intel bases in Israel, which they did get to, and they captured the soldiers in them, along with the servers that housed intelligence about Gaza, and they took it all back to, including the soldiers, and these are all soldiers, back into Gaza.
Edward, you have an
And
amazing
I disagree. I think Israel's been willing to pay a lot more for civilians.
No,
They
that's
released their
not the fact. It's not the historical evidence.
Then why did they make all these compromises to release civilians but not soldiers?
Okay, if you look at the last ceasefire agreement, soldiers are worth more on paper than civilians.
Yeah, but they only let vulnerable. They only let the kids out and the old
Yeah,
people.
Soldiers are worth more than kids.
Buttercup, do you know how many Palestinians were released for Gilad Shalit?
Yes.
Is that the one soldier that
How many?
had over 1,000?
1,024.
But same.
That's usually 600 a soda one.
And
So basically, 1,000 Palestinians' lives.
well, no, it's not even that. It's the fact that the civilians in the ceasefire agreement, and you could look at the last ceasefire agreement, Buttercup, and see the ratios. The ratios for civilians were lower than the ratios for soldiers, to exchange soldiers.
But because of political will, they're willing to let soldiers rot for a lot longer than civilians.
And, well, no,
Because
you
of
could say
political
that.
pressures.
But if you go back to other similar situations with Hamas when they captured a soldier, and when
It does about Israel. It means Hamas is willing to release them for less. That says more about Hamas than it does about Israel. Israel is willing to make more compromises for children and elderly and women than it is for the male soldiers. But it says more about Hamas that it's willing to release.
What compromise? Because a compromise, I would buy that argument. Okay. But you would have to show me that the compromises for women and children is different than the compromises for the.
Who decides what the price is? It's Hamas ultimately, right?
It's a negotiation, but it's.
But they're holding the cards. They're holding the hostages, and they get to say yes. or no?
Lebanon, Hezbollah did the same thing with soldiers. What I'm saying is Hamas, in their interest, would want to capture soldiers, not civilians. So the fact that they did have civilians and they didn't know where
so
they
casual,
were.
like they just had babies among them. Like there wasn't an accident.
That's what I'm saying. So they captured soldiers.
People accidentally capture fucking babies that scream all.
So they captured soldiers. They went back into Gaza, and then they realized that they had civilians among them.
They realized a fucking baby was among them. That's so garbage.
I mean, the soldiers.
Have you ever met a baby?
Hamas. I mean, Buttercup. When they
went a toddler, they're not subtle. Okay.
Got it. But were they with Hamas? That's the thing.
So you're saying it was the civilians that accidentally captured fucking babies that scream their asses off all the time.
So that whole area was empty.
Like, have you met a toddler? Like,
no, it's not casual.
Thank you.
It wasn't casual. Hamas went in. They did what they had to do. Now, if Hamas was out there to kill and massacre people, they could have done. There were thousands of people, and they had complete control over the situation for hours. They could have done so, but didn't. They moved on to get those soldiers, and they went back. Now, when they got back, they did have civilians, not Hamas, the people that went to capture the soldiers, but the civilians did end up in Gaza. How they ended up there now, that is the question.
It's a big question.
Yes, the area was.
Who accidentally didn't notice that a toddler was.
It's not that they didn't notice; they were grabbed on. They were grabbed.
I don't think you're explaining it to her right. The people who took the soldier were Hamas. The ones who took the civilians were not part of Hamas.
And they immediately handed them over to Hamas. So what did Hamas do? There were certain ones that they released immediately. Those two Americans.
No, that's not true, Buttercup. They did not.
There was multiple gangs, Buttercup, that did what they did.
So which gangs took the babies?
So look, there's PIJ. There's other
those aren't gangs. No.
Break it down.
The
there was
gangs
several
are.
babies that were taken. There was like a dozen babies.
I heard there was a data. There was about 3,000 or 4,000 actually jumped in, and there was different gangs. And do you know that some of them were civilians, by the way?
Yes, civilians, and I think
are also culpable. So maybe don't reinforce.
Well, so there were gangs. So there are gangs in Gaza. It's not this like Hamas rules with an iron fist, and there's nothing there. There's organized crime from the Sinai leading through Gaza into the Negev desert in Israel. Now, were there other parties there? The issue that I have here is that first, Hamas did not know where the civilians were. Why would they not know if they planned this whole operation? And if it was their well-trained, well-disciplined people that went in and did their job, and then all of a sudden, we have civilians. Where? Who has them? They're all over the place. They're with this clan.
I think it's pretty clear they didn't anticipate the rave that was in the middle.
Well, that's true. They didn't. But Hamas did not stop. When they broke through, they were shooting, at soldiers who ran into the rave, and into the kibutzes, and were shooting from there and then shooting at them. But they ran through and went and did their mission, got the soldiers, and came back through. Now, keep in mind, over 6 hours, this whole area, not a single is IDF, no forces, no police, no nothing. So it's completely open. Who went in? All we could say is, at this point, because we don't know, we have to wait until the war is over, but we can say this, that Netanyahu funds and has a relationship with one of an ISIS affiliated group that was locked up in by Hamas for drug trafficking and human trafficking. They were released and given uniforms and weapons by Netanyahu. That's not me saying this. That's Netanyahu saying this. That's Victor Lieberman, who broke the story, that said this. So they had an ongoing relationship with ISIS-backed what they call jihadists.
Edward,
Okay?
what happened to those babies?
Abu, there was about 30 kids that were taken hostage by Hamas.
What happened to them? Yeah,
30 kids.
They were returned.
They were interned in hostage deals.
Wait. There were 30 kids. Where do you get 30
I was
kids
going
from?
back to her to ask her to send something that says.
Oh, it was only.
There's no 30 kids.
Not 30.
Where did you get the 30 kids from, Miss Buttercup?
There was a couple of children, but 30, unless you're counting anybody under 18, maybe. I don't know what the makeup was, but
I don't know where the 30 came from. This is my first time hearing.
No, bro. She's talking about Sherry, the two kids of Sherry. So I remember that video when Hamas released it. They went and they want to take Sherry. They don't want her kids. I don't know if you guys saw that video. I will look it up. But she begged them to take her baby. She asked them, I will not go with you without my baby. So that's her choice. They don't want to take the baby.
What's the source that she begged them to take her baby hostage? Provide a source.
He said a video. Yeah, look up the video.
Sherry, her name, I think Sherry. She's a redhead. And she was crying. She said, no.
Sherry, the famous Kfir and the two redhead boys. Where's the source that she begged them to take her kids hostage?
Oh, yeah.
Not hostage. She want to keep them with her.
Brother, she's asking where's the video that.
I have to look it up. But it was only two kids. And if you know,
there was a toddler that was released, the 4-year-old. There was a bunch of small children, 7-year-olds that were filmed by Hamas with hostage videos. There was a bunch of teenagers. What are you talking about? There was kid that was held in.
Where's your source?
Can I ask a question?
Where's your source? Where's your source? 30 children. Where did you get? Where's your source?
I'll provide a link. Okay.
Yes.
I have a question. So, obviously you dislike Hamas, but do you understand that it's not a vacuum? That the reason why Hamas was
100%. I just don't think they're serving the Palestinian cause, and I support the Palestinian cause. I want them to have a state and independence.
Right. So they said they're not going to be part of the Palestinian state. They don't want anything to do with it. They said this a couple of times. They're just resistance. This is a bunch of young 21-year-old boys who are orphaned, who went and decided to be part of Hamas because Israel killed their parents.
Right. The members of Hamas, I don't blame them for joining, but I'm talking about the leadership and their larger plans. Let's be honest about it. Abu, are you calling me a bitch or someone else?
I'm calling someone else, but if you want me to call you a bitch, I have no issues doing that, to be honest with you.
Why?
I don't think you understand, Buttercup.
Can't you see in the chat that I'm talking to someone else?
Yeah, Buttercup, I don't think you're really in any place to criticize Hamas, with all due respect.
I'm not criticizing Hamas. I just know Palestinians who oppose Hamas, that's all.
Respect. There's a guy I used to hang out in these rooms. His name was Philip. And when people would come in...
Honest Jew, you're breaking character right now.
When people would come in with these critiques, no, I'm not breaking character. I'm still an honest Jew. I'm just remembering the old rooms. Philip would say, if you have access to Israel, pick up a goddamn sledgehammer and go break down the fucking wall if you support Palestine. Leave Hamas alone. Nobody gives a shit what you think about them. That's what Philip was.
Did you just say Aikabal?
Yeah, what's the thing? If a person is starving and they finally get food, you don't worry about their dining habits. You feed them. Worry about the dining habits later.
And another interesting thing too is to critique what kind of hostages Hamas and the Palestinians took. We could all do a mental exercise right now. Okay, let's pretend you're in Texas, okay, or Louisiana. And let's pretend the Venezuelan army comes in and they start occupying parts of America that are around you, all right? And you're an American, all right? Are you going to, and then Venezuela puts kids and civilians on the front line of the occupation, and you're getting slaughtered, massacred, raped, starved, etc., as Palestinians have been doing for 100 years. Are you going to differentiate between their civilians and soldiers? Are you going to say, fuck these people, and do whatever you can to get them to go away?
Okay, so now we're endorsing killing of civilians and
If we're in America, listen. If we are in America, and
then
someone
we
comes
should
and
not have
invades
an
us,
opinion about it.
someone
Okay.
comes and invades us, and some occupying power puts their civilians on the front line.
Okay, then let's at least be real about it. That we support taking civilian hostages.
No, we don't support it. But let me ask you this question: what's your definition of a hostage?
So I agree that if they're military members, that's one thing. But taking of children is very hard to justify. Same with the Israeli government, who takes Palestinian teenagers who throw rocks.
And I don't agree with this, by the way, Buttercup. I'm not a Hamas supporter per se. I don't believe in the ideology, but I support the resistance. So I just want to make that clear.
So I'm trying to understand that nuance. I think you have you're trying to express a nuance here, Edward, that I don't fully understand, because Hamas has brought ruin onto the Palestinian people. A lot of Palestinians I know see them as a blight on society. They want, a more pragmatic approach.
Buttercup,
so I'm curious what the nuance is.
That could be your algorithm. That's
so.
I mean, it's not one or two or three videos. There's a lot of people and my close friends who I hang out with all the time.
I want to answer
a lot
this.
of videos. Hold on, Edward. Hold on.
Well, she was talking to me, so I want to answer her real quick, and then you could.
Let me
answer.
get a word in edgewise when you're.
Yeah, no, of course you could talk definitely after I say that, and I'll be quick. Buttercup, your question again. Sorry.
So yeah, I'm just curious about this nuance. You draw a distinction.
Oh.
I just know a lot of Palestinians personally, and all the videos I shared of people who are fed up with Hamas and how they set back the Palestinian cause.
So you're saying set back the Palestinian cause. It depends on how you look at the war. Is Hamas looking at the war from the ground, where they know that they can't, they can't strategically win on the ground? They don't have air defense systems. Or where are they fighting the war? What is their objectives? Their objectives from the beginning, because they had GoPro cams and they wanted to show the world what was happening, them breaking out. Their war was fought in cyberspace. It was fought in the hearts and minds of people around the world.
But you talk to people, Palestinians in the ground, they're like, "But we're not your cannon fodder. Our kids are not your cannon fodder."
No, we're not saying that. They are more dead, and I could tell you this for certainty because I talk to people in Gaza. My father's wife is from Gaza. My brother and two sisters, half brother, two half sisters, are their families in Gaza, and I send them money every month, not to them, but to those in Gaza, their families. And I could tell you, they're not blaming Hamas for what Israel has done. They distinguish the difference. They're asking themselves, because they don't know on the ground. They don't know. They're asking themselves, is it worth it? Did it make a difference? Because from where we're standing, it doesn't look like it made a difference. But, they are not on the outside and have the luxury of
your
being able to
relatives
sit
in
and
Gaza
see.
think that it's helping their cause. Their life is better now.
So you're looking at it as their life is better now. The life
They
wasn't
like
better
living in
before.
tents and suffering from this genocidal maniac government.
Their life was not good before this, and they understood.
But there's no comparison living in houses versus living in tents. And
there is a comparison. There is a difference here. You're coming at us from the position of saying,
I haven't seen any Gazans say, I think Hamas was right.
So you're coming at this from the position.
Can you provide one video of a Hamas saying saying a Gazan saying, Hamas was looking out for us?
So Palestinians
Why
are
would
not
they let them in the
from
tunnels? Why do they keep them above so their kids die?
Because you can't.
Why not?
You would suffocate. They're not built that way.
So the hostages survive fine. Why don't they let the kids in there?
Why do you get in bunkers?
Why don't they build shelters for their own people?
Why didn't Israel attack the tunnels directly, send soldiers in there to retrieve their hostages instead of carpet bombing Gaza? Why don't we talk about that?
They did carpet bomb Gaza.
No, I know. I'm saying instead of that, if Israel really cared about their hostages, if Israel was
Israel doesn't give a shit about their hostages or Gazans.
They don't give a fuck about their own people. and they're using him for greater purposes. I've been listening in this room for the past hour that Edward's been outlining. Okay, so just you Buttercup. I think the way the mental exercise you should do is you say, okay, so I don't hear anybody saying Hamas is great in Gaza. Okay, now what? So what should Hamas do? Be like, oh, you know what? Our people don't like us. Let us lay down our weapons and let Netanyahu just force exodus us into the Sinai. What is the option?
And
we need to talk about that because you leave it like a mic drop, like they don't support them. So ... and what? And this is the only resistance these people have.
Their kids are
if you want to do a mental exercise, do a mental exercise.
They would have been suffering before.
Resistance is not worth dying. Their whole family died.
Listen, but
how do you know they're not going to die anyway?
They would have died anyways.
8 decades.
No, but they would have died
not
anyways.
Not if October 7th didn't happen. They could have.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Wait a minute.
They could have made a different decision.
No, Israel would have still killed, and it would have been worse because nobody would have known about it.
Like they do the
you're
fucking.
hammering October 7th awfully hard, and what Israel has done to Gaza since October 7th is they've killed many multiples, orders of magnitude more civilians. Why
exactly my point.
Pounding down on October 7th. Do you want to do a root cause analysis? Don't start at October 7th. Go back
Everyone
further.
agrees about the occupation and it's
Nakba.
horrific.
But don't leave it as a one sentence. Let's deep dive.
But October 7 was a major escalation that caused the death of 16,000 children.
Listen, Buttercup. I don't know what your background is. I don't know if you're Jewish or.
I'm an anti-Zionist Jew. Okay.
Okay. So listen to me. Here's a mental exercise you should do. Imagine exactly the reverse situation. Palestinians are empowered by Americans. Jews,
Misha, some of my best friends are Palestinian. They come for Shabbat all the time. I'm very close to
for 80 years, they've been
You're
fractured. Okay, how do you think the Jews would eventually have fought back? And would you, as a Jew, if this entire situation were reversed, would you also be being like, hey, on October 7th, why did you Jews fight back? Think about that a little bit. Do that mental exercise.
Over 700 actual civilians that died, which is unfortunate, and on October 7th. The rest were military.
Why was it unfortunate? Tell me why.
Because 700 civilians died. I mean, that doesn't...
Why are you concerned about them? Who cares? It's for the cause, right?
Rich, are you here?
You sound crazy.
Most, a lot of them actually died by IDF, not by Hamas.
Yeah, the House directive. We got to talk about that.
You know, so
Edward,
mowing the lawn.
You know that
Let's talk about mowing the lawn. You know about mowing the lawn?
Yes, I know about mowing the lawn.
Why you only talk about October 7th?
I was protesting mowing the lawn in 2014 and 2012.
Mowing the lawn's been happening since
the protest didn't help. What helped was October 7th. That's
you
what
think it helped?
No.
16,000 dead children is not helping.
Listen. We are now closer than ever to protecting our people forever.
At the cost of 16,000 kids.
And that's the price that Israel is willing to have us pay.
That's the price that you're willing to pay for violent resistance?
We didn't do it.
No.
No, we didn't do it. Israel did this.
Zionists and ask them, why are they killing the 16,000?
Yes. Why does it cost us this much for our freedom?
It's like the case of the bully.
I support the Palestinian state aspiration for a state.
We don't want your support. Why are you addressing us with all these killings? We're not killing them.
You put them in a situation with a genocide.
We didn't put anybody in a fucking situation.
What? Hold on.
They calculated. They miscalculated. That's what I'm saying.
Buttercup. I know you know you're being biased right now, right? You're being biased, and I would protect you. But you're being biased. You cannot. These are the victims, and you're saying, well, maybe it's like if a woman is being battered, right? Oh, well, you know how your husband is. You know how your husband is. And
No, it's called being long-term. Listen, Hamas is not looking out for their long-term strategic interests, just like Bibi's not looking for Israel's long-term strategic.
You fucking idiot.
Are you a military strategist?
Long-term strategic interests.
Whether you realize it or not, you're like the Diet Coke of Zionists. You still got a little Zion.
Okay, well, that's fine. I don't take it as an insult. I don't give a shit.
Color butternut, bro. Fucking idiot.
Wait,
what the fuck are you talking about, bro?
Guys. Wait, come on, you're not gonna.
I'm back. Guys, please don't abuse or we don't attack women and children. Please don't do that, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, but she came here
What
to
do you
say
mean
I am
attacking?
anti-Zionist.
No, I think somebody called her a B word. Please don't do that, man.
No, nobody did.
Nobody
I called her a bitch. I called her a butter.
Come on, Abu. We don't attack women and children. Come on,
Why
man.
the fuck is she fucking
Calm down, brother. Calm down.
Go fucking talk to the Zionists.
She does talk to the Zionists. Hold on. Let's Wayfan, you want to say something?
I want to make sure I understand Buttercup. So Buttercup, are you saying that Hamas strategies is in line with Bibi's strategies? Is knowingly or unknowingly?
100%, and knowingly. Actually, there's letters between them because both of them benefit from continued violence and war. Both of them benefit from Sinwar and Bibi have communicated with each other about how it's mutually beneficial to continue to have violence, the cycle of violence. I'll provide a source, actually.
He communicated this.
Bias on purpose here. I think we're all being biased.
I need new voices. I gave the mic to Wayfan. Please don't come off the mic.
So thanks, Amir. I just want to make sure. So you are saying that there are two sides, and there are crazy people in both sides, and these crazy people are resonating each other, and both like let's call these crazy people the right, the most extremist fundamentalists of both sides, and they have hold power, and they are enabling each other.
Yes.
To grasp the power by like fueling these wars.
100%. Thank you.
Intention. Okay, so I understand you. It's not that you are like doing Zionist propaganda.
No. I'm sympathetic to the Palestinians more than Zionists. I'm more critical of
I just want to say that I agree with you in a sense that there are these crazy people in Iran, which I'm originally from, and they hold the government and they just like hate United States. And there are these crazy people in the United States which they hold the power and just hate Iran, and they are fueling each other. So in that sense, I understand you, but I don't know about Palestine.
Okay, can I ask a question, please? How are you guys?
Haaretz has, I just want to say something about Haaretz because it's in the comments. Haaretz has put starvation and genocide on the front cover every day in Israel, which is a very provocative thing to do because all the Israelis are in denial. They've all served in the army and they don't want to believe what's happening. So for Haaretz to do this is very brave. They've been maligned and smeared by the government. And so to smear Haaretz as a Zionist rag is completely inaccurate. Haaretz has, at great risk to their own reputation, consistently talked about genocide and starvation in Gaza.
Yeah, can I ask the question?
Yes.
Before you ask your question, can you put the link for the 30 children that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, I'll find it.
Yeah, Ms. Gaslighter, if you can put that, that would be.
First time I hear about this 33 children. Even they killed by the Apache, and Palestinians don't have a badge. At the same time,
what's a batch?
Apache card.
Like a helicopter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, how many Palestinians? How many
Apache? Okay.
Apache. Yeah. How many prisoners or whatever Israeli prisoners in Hamas? How many they killed children, as you say? While Israelis they are killing children every day. How many Israeli children or prisoners with Hamas killed by Hamas? None. Right? Even they are feed them food more than Gazans. This is the difference between the behavior of the IDF and the behavior of what you call them terrorist Hamas. Right?
Well, we could see the videos of the Palestinians that were released from the last exchange and how emaciated and how I think one of them lost a limb and the abuses they suffered. And you contrast that with the releases of the hostages from Hamas and how they were well fed. They looked like they were well taken care of. So can we posit then the mentality, of both sides would be, would show up in the way they treat their prisoners of war or hostages? And if one side is treating them badly, then you could, I think argue that side is, has a system that is systemic in treating those, treating other people, without treating them inhumanely. So
this is the Islam, what they said for them to treat the prisoners. This is Islamic Sharia. But those Israelis, they don't have even Sharia. They don't have decent anything. They think that this is.
I would love to debate Buttercup one day in a room. Buttercup, if he's still here.
Yeah, Edward. Who said that? Edward?
Yes.
Edward, I really enjoy talking to you. I think you're really intellectually honest, and I think you're really smart, and I learn things from you all the time. I would love to talk to you sometime.
Thank you, and I think you're also smart, and I also think I'm amazing too. So we both are on the same page. So thank you so much. And Wednesday thinks I'm amazing too. Oh my God, I got these fans. I love this.
You're so modest. You're so modest.
Chat shows 36 kids that were kidnapped.
You see that?
Butterfly.
I posted a link in the chat with 36.
Edward is taken. Alexa is already claimed Edward. So.
Yeah, they're the 3 kids kidnapped and returned back, feeded good, and returned back, right?
After a month, though, you still took kids hostage for a month. That's fucked up.
That's tough, right?
Babies?
While they are killing every day our children.
100%. I think it's overshadowed by Israel's war crimes, and I've criticized it every day. And I get harassed by the pro-Israelis every fucking day over it. But that doesn't change the fact that Hamas did kidnap, and those other groups did kidnap 30 kids. Let's be honest, 36 kids.
Yeah, they returned them back, right?
Eventually, but you still traumatize a bunch of kids. That doesn't change the fact that killing 60,000 kids is worse. No fucking shit. But that doesn't change the fact that 36 kids were kidnapped. Let's be honest. We can acknowledge 2 truths are true at once.
Yeah,
so one is about 100 times worse than the other. That's the difference.
Yeah, it's so pale in comparison. And let's not
100%.
even forget,
And I'm more worried about Israel.
Let's not even forget the football numbers that the little kids get when they get in prison in these Israeli jails.
100%. 100%. I agree, but that doesn't change the fact. Let's be honest. You said only 2 kids were kidnapped and 36 were. Let's be honest about that. It's okay. We don't have to lie about the number of kids in order to acknowledge the horrific actions of the Israeli government. The Israeli government is criminal. They've committed a genocide. I've said that 100 times. That doesn't change the fact that 36 kids were kidnapped.
Buttercup, I'm curious, why are you so why are you pounding this point in so hard?
Because they just asked me to send a link and they denied. They said only 2 kids were kidnapped.
But before, none of us brought this up.
They did. They literally asked me to provide a link. They said it didn't happen.
Not bring up the link. Just the fact that Israeli children were kidnapped. Why are you bringing this up?
Because you asked me to provide a link, and so I did. That's why.
No one in this room said 36 children were.
Everyone in this room said 2 kids were kidnapped.
Can you please provide us a link? You said they were kidnapped.
It's literally in the comments. Read the comments, Taco.
I'm not. Okay.
Buttercup, how do you Buttercup,
why are we even talking about
100%. 60,000 kids is worse than 36 kids, but you asked me to provide proof, and I did.
Buttercup, how do you suggest they go about it?
It doesn't. I don't think. I'm
because-
not. This is not a value judgment. This is not a judgment on character.
No. I'm not
I'm
saying
simply providing evidence that you asked me to provide.
I'll give you example. I'll give you example of 3 different revolutions. One, Native Americans, slavery revolt, and 3 South Africa. In order for those 3 things to make noise or have any kind of effect, I mean, we already know what happened to the Native Americans, but
that's another argument. You asked me to provide proof that they kidnapped kids.
Let me finish. For those revolutions to happen or those revolts to happen, there has to be a fight fire with fire mentality. There has to be a match of ferociousness. It can't just be like, oh, we're kumbaya, we're gonna sit behind and hope for this peace and justice to happen to us. No, you have to fight. It's bloody.
I understand the position.
All 3 of those revolutions were bloody as fuck.
I understand. I've heard that position before. That doesn't change the fact. I wasn't arguing whether or not it was right or wrong. I was simply stating a fact. They asked me, they said that only 2 kids were kidnapped, and I said 36 were, and they asked for proof, and I provided it. I'm not saying whether it was right or wrong. There's no value judgment here, no moral judgment here.
Oh,
Simply providing the evidence that you asked me to provide.
Now, but before that, you were being immoral. You kept I remember you cutting Edwin off. But you ever thought, just a thought, you ever thought that the reason why some of those children are being kidnapped is because Israel keeps on kidnapping the Palestinian children? So maybe they're like, oh, you want to know how it feels to take care of.
I was just talking about that. I literally condemned it, that the Israel kidnaps kids that throw rocks. 100%, I agree with you. I never...
Right. So do you ever think the reason why the Israeli kids were kidnapped is because the Palestinians are tired of their children being kidnapped? So how about you feel the same thing we feel?
Yeah, so Wednesday, exactly. This is the problem with if you're familiar with people who live in Palestine and Israel, what happens is it becomes this endless cycle, and they're like, well, you kidnap our kids. The problem is when you commit a genocidal act or you commit a war crime, that doesn't justify another war crime. That's what ends up in a cycle of violence, and people keep dying.
Oh my God.
And for people who live there, it's really, really problematic.
Hold on. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Can I just finish? This is the first time in a long time that they have struck back this, and I don't even think they even thought it was going to even happen. Like, I think they were fucking surprised, to be honest with you. They didn't expect the raid thing to be there. It was just too perfect. Ours and the IDF, and no one from Israel was there, but that's something else. My point is, this is like the first time in a long time that they have been able to stand up for themselves. You can't, like, I don't know. Violence beget violence, but you keep on punching me in the face. You keep on punching me in the face. I'm supposed to take the punch?
No, isn't it? The question is,
Are you in the toilet?
Wednesday. The question is this.
Now, hold on. Wait, Fan, I was next. Wait, Fan, hold on. Look. You done, Wednesday?
I am, thank you.
Come out of the toilet,
So Buttercup, Nat Turner had to do what he had to do in the slave revolt. He was looked at as a terrorist back then. Now he's looked at as a hero. Mandela, same thing, was looked at as a terrorist. Then he ended up becoming the president of South Africa. The Native American chiefs who scalped the people and killed them were looked at as terrorists and now are revered, and there's football teams named after them. You understand what I'm saying? So they had to do what they had to do, and you can't just lean on the 36 children, 40 children, 50 children, 60 children.
It doesn't change it for being a crime against humanity. You cannot take children hostages.
It's a net. Oh God.
Nat Turner standards are not applicable today, right? We have international law.
History is history. They had international law.
It doesn't mean you can erase international law.
During apartheid,
during apartheid, they had international law too. It wasn't that long ago. Apartheid ended in the early 90s. It wasn't that long ago. So you got to understand there is no justice without us. There's no peace without there being justice. There has to be justice. And
So you support? That's fine. You support the kidnapping of kids. That's on the record, right?
What? All right.
No,
you're not gonna do that. Hold on. You're not gonna do that with me.
Well, then what are you trying to say?
You ain't doing that with me.
Be clear.
You're going in circles. You're going in circles. I asked you,
no? Do you support it or not?
To do? Obviously not, you idiot.
I'm asking you. You seem to be endorsing it.
I'm not seeming. You're seeming to ignore everything that happened. You're seeming to ignore everything that happened before
October 7th. Either you endorse it or you don't.
You seem to ignore everything that happened before October 7th. You're just like Taco said, you're just hammering home the things that happened during and after October 7th, seemingly forgetting everything that happened before. If a bully keeps punching you in the face and saying, look what you're making me do to you, look what you're making me do to you, or grabs your hand and punches you in the face, look what you make it, why are you punching yourself? Why are you punching yourself? What is that person gonna do? They're gonna retaliate. That is the only way to win in a revolution. This is a revolt, and there has to be things done. I don't endorse any violence at all. I'm a pacifist, but I'm not gonna sit back and say that they don't have to do what they have to do to get their freedom.
1 million Algerians died to win their freedom. So I mean, unfortunately, this is how our global system
It's called
works.
solidarity. Just learn the word solidarity. If you're really in solidarity with the Palestinian people, be in solidarity with them. Don't sit there on your throne and say, "Oh, this is crazy. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that?" Stand in solidarity if you're really going to be in solidarity.
The Israelis tell me the same thing when they killed 16,000 kids, right?
Oh
so I'm
which side are you on?
killing and
So which side are you on?
kids.
So which side are you on?
I'm saying
kids. You can stand in solidarity. You can stand in solidarity and still say things are wrong. I can stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people and say things are wrong.
All kidnapping of kids is wrong. 100%. All kidnapping of kids, Palestinian or Israeli, human life is equal.
Solidarity with the Palestinian people. Fuck you harder, bitch. Who the fuck you talking to?
Yo, Mazi, calm down, brother. Calm down, Mazi, brother. Come on.
Who the fuck you think you talking to? I didn't curse at you once.
Mazi, think about this situation.
All killing and kidnapping of kids is wrong.
Are you in solidarity with the
Whose life is more valuable?
Answer that motherfucking question.
Wow.
Gee, think about this situation. Hamas is inside Israel. October 7th. Inside Israel, humiliated everything they hold for their security. But not taking children, not taking women, just taking some soldiers back as hostage. Like, would it be?
They would have had the moral high ground. They would have had a better argument.
Think about it. This situation. Don't like the point that she's raising. Think about it this way before getting it.
If they want the moral high ground, just don't kidnap kids.
You realize
you're retarded, bro.
Mazi. You guys realize that this person could be a fucking Zionist just here to gaslight, troll everybody to leave. You can't trust these
bro. And plus,
you cannot trust them.
And plus, bro, and plus, Abu, we can. She still hasn't said that she's in solidarity. I asked her 3 times.
Amir, am I a Zionist?
You can be. I don't give a fuck what Amir says. I'm talking to you. I don't care. Amir is not your lawyer. I'm talking to you, and I'm talking about you. Abu.
Then I don't think you're a lawyer, but it's his opinion. Mazi's opinion has a different opinion.
We can stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people and still say, oh, Hamas did this wrong, did this right in our opinion, did this incorrectly. But still, if you stand in solidarity, say it. Why can't you say it?
I've only said it, Mazi. I've said million times I support the Palestinians. Mazi, have you not been paying attention? Mazi, I've literally been fighting Zionists for the last month.
Calm down. Calm down.
Killed by that's the 7th of October, Israeli children and families. You know how many they've been killed by this helicopter Apache. Do you know that or not?
I've read about it, and I think it's a bit exaggerated by the pro-Palestine.
Of course you do.
God.
Of course.
But I do think that Israel is a genocidal. Listen, I'm the first to call them.
They killing you. They are killing you before killing Palestinians. They are killing Israelis before they're killing Palestinians.
Yes,
I'm just saying, what do you expect?
They do have that policy. Yes.
It's not right that 36 kid got kidnapped, but what do you expect? What do you expect that
This is a nuance.
terrorized?
Okay, this is a
Hold on.
nuance and a thin line we disagree on.
So can I just say something about this to both Monzi and Buttercup? So when it comes to the ICJ, war crimes are on paper they're considered equally on paper, but when it comes down to it, the war crimes from an occupier versus war crimes from the occupied, with certain constraints, but they are not weighed the same. An occupier's war crimes are weighed more heavily because they are doing it in the context of occupation, as opposed to the occupied who are committing war crimes to be able to free themselves of the occupier. So in court, so on paper they're equal, but in court, the political and moral issues come up, and Israel, being an occupying force, would be in a major disadvantage when it comes to the war crimes question.
Because they created that environment.
Now,
because they created that environment.
Within reason, like Palestinians can't go around just killing as many Israelis as possible. I mean, it's within reason. So each case is taken and looked at when it comes to occupation. Looked at separately, like uniquely, and so we can't equivocate the war crimes of Israel and the war crimes of the Palestinians as weighted the same. They're not weighted.
Can you provide evidence? Can you provide the law that says that it's weighted differently?
Well, this isn't so. The law says it's weighted the same, but it's not the law. It's the application of the ICJ over the last 60, 70 years.
Statistics.
No, it's how the ICJ has seen and has ruled on, what an occupier has done versus what the occupied has done, and they've always leaned towards.
Is there like an analysis that sums this up?
There's multiple analysis that I could see if I could find one. Yeah.
I'm curious. I want to learn. I'm curious. I didn't know there was a different application, and in my experience, I thought the law was equal on both sides. But this is new to me.
Yeah. But this isn't unique to the ICJ, and like civil proceedings here in the U.S. Like if you go to court, you could have the same laws, but the one side would be found more, let's say both sides broke it, but one side would be found more liable because of the circumstances. So
is it because Israel created that environment?
Yeah, because of the occupation, automatically,
right.
And that's what the ICJ has ruled on before, like in South Africa, and in other cases that the occupier has more of a responsibility when it comes to war crimes, especially given the fact that they're an organized nation and can prevent war crimes, and people that do not have the same resources and are not a nation, it's more difficult for them to be able to police this type of activity, and at the same time, how are they going to fight against an occupier? So if you're occupying, it's similar to they call it the bloody hands concept, the legal concept here in the U.S. If you come into court and you're suing, but you have done things wrong or illegally in the past, then your credibility has gone down. Like your credibility is not still.
Can I just say something? I'm so sorry that they they say cum jokes to you, Vivi, Buttercup. Sam, what are you doing? What are you trying to convince her? She's a grown woman and she wants to be here. She will be here. You of all people talk bad about black women because you are hateful towards your own people and you don't like being a black American. He just said several seats down, sir.
Hey, Edward, question for you. So, can ICJ even go after Hamas? Hamas is not a governmental entity. There is no Palestine. I thought ICJ only can go after governmental, you know what I mean, personnel. It cannot go after non-governmental personnel. So Hamas cannot even commit a war crime because there is no government of Palestine recognized internationally. You see my point?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they can only go after states. They can't go after Hamas.
So I want to ask Buttercup, do you think after all what happened, Palestinians have the right to defend themselves and resist? Do you think that or not?
I think, of course, the Palestinians should fight for their just right to sovereignty and their own state and their freedom of movement and rights under the law, 100%. Whether or not you use violent resistance is a question.
No, just a minute. You said defend. This is what Hamas doing from 7 October.
Yeah, but sometimes.
So I think there should be guardrails. That's all.
You think they shouldn't use violence?
Can I just?
So you are not.
With guardrails, they don't have guardrails.
Guardrails.
Guardrails like don't kidnap and kill children. That's all.
Again.
Oh, what?
The fact is they don't have guardrails, and so we need some.
Yeah, but
if you want to advance the Palestinian cause,
kidnap children. All children kidnapped since whatever.
100%.
Hold on a second.
The Israeli government is criminal. They're war criminals. 100%. That doesn't justify. If you want to have the moral high ground, don't kidnap and kill children.
How to fight the criminals? By criminals.
Yeah, that's not how you have the moral high ground. It's not.
You have to be criminal.
It's not in your long-term strategic interests.
Yeah.
Are you a military strategist? How do you know what
military?
I say the same thing to the Israelis. It's not in their long-term strategic interest to commit a genocide.
Yeah, what is happening in Gaza now? They are
100%. I tell Israelis every fucking day it's not in their long-term strategic interest to commit a genocide.
They are killing Israelis. Hamas now they are killing Israelis inside Gaza. So do you agree with that?
Of course, they're defending themselves. Why would I disagree?
Okay. Thank you very much. That's the whole point.
What are they supposed to do? There's kids fucking raining bombs. What are they supposed to do? Of course they should have defense.
Hold on. Edward, I feel like we had this conversation. You had this conversation this morning with, or yesterday morning, with Resistance. And Resistance said that what was done on October 7th, especially taking women and children, wasn't very Islamic.
What that when they took taking civilians is not Islamic?
Women and children.
Yes, no, it wouldn't be, and that's one of my issues too, because Hamas is a religious group. They're not like ISIS. They're not like they don't just go around killing people. They do live by a strict moral code, and they. I just can't see them taking civilians. And like I said before, the economics alone, if you know a soldier is worth, 25 to 50 times more than a civilian, why would you waste your time taking civilians? Just if you're pragmatic about it. And so these are the questions I have. Like, I'm not saying Hamas is innocent. I'm just saying, there's a lot of red flags that
But 1 second, where in Islam does it say that you can't take women and children as captives in a war under strict rules and conditions?
No, you can't. Actually,
you can't. You can't take civilians.
Yes, you can.
Women and children.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can take them, but there are
brings a dalil, yeah, brother.
You can, and there are strict rules behind it, so you can't harm them. this is a very strict rule that when you take them, you cannot harm them, but you can use them. But they need to be released. You can ransom them, and they can be used for to exchange.
Yeah, even if you take soldiers, you are not.
Where did you come up with Islam says that you can't do that? No, you can't. It's a war, right? Isn't it a war?
I might be wrong.
Isn't it a war?
Well,
You can do it in a war, but again, you cannot harm those non-combatants.
Yeah, and they did. They haven't harmed.
Yeah, not harming. You cannot harm non-combatants. That's definitely in Islam.
Yes, it's a very strict rule. It's not
The
a basic
21st
rule.
century, the 21st century morality laws that most majority of people now accept.
Religion doesn't change, brother. Like it doesn't matter what century.
I mean, like there are a lot of Islamic laws which are immoral right now. Like for example, multiple wife or slavery and kamis. So we have to be a little more realistic. I believe.
Yeah,
Sure, I'm not. Okay, you can be a little bit more realistic, but you can't come up and say that in Islam.
Yeah, you can't change the rules, Abu. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, you can't change it. Yeah.
They exchanged the prisoners. All they came back safe and even feeded better than Gazans. So
no, I mean like think about that this Bibi is doing this genocide based on some biblical Malak, whatever it is. That's why like
Amalek.
Israel is Amalek is the most hated nation in the world right now. So, but it is based on their like religion, technically speaking.
Who's Amalek? Sorry.
Oh, you don't know who's Amalek? That's why Palestinians are dying with so easily. Amalek were a tribe based on biblical texts that
Can somebody explain it in Arabic? Amalek, what is this Amalek?
No, it was a tribe that in the Old Testament, I think, where they were told to kill this tribe, men, women, children, animals, everybody, from head to toe, top to bottom. And then Netanyahu held up this scripture and said in a speech that we have to treat the Palestinians like Amalek, kill them all, men, women, children, everybody.
Yeah, but this fucking Netanyahu, he's not even religious at all.
He's playing to the base. He's playing to the right-wing base. He's like, he was historically not a moderate, obviously. He's like a fucking war criminal. But he wasn't like the far-right messianic lunatics who want to like occupy and like settle Gaza. He was just kind of a pragmatist, and then he just aligned himself with his base. And so when he talks about Amalek, he's speaking to this religious Zionist base, which is like really extreme.
Yeah, vote for me.
Look at the definition.
Exactly.
And look at what's happening in Palestine.
It's just like I'm providing you with some of the political backstory.
So, Abu Abaida, I wanted to correct something you said. So, when it comes to hostages, no, it's absolutely forbidden. I think what you're referring to here is after a battle, if there are women and children and elderly that are left and they're taken, then you can either set them free or ransom them.
What's the difference? What's the difference, Edward? That's the same thing.
The difference is you cannot go to take.
How do you know they went to take? Maybe
no,
they went
I'm talking about the Quran. I'm not talking about what happened on the ground.
You can't have the intentions to specifically target civilians.
Target or take them. You can't
specifically target them.
Yes.
Yeah, you fighting the soldiers. There's some people left over. You take them. They in prison. Prison is a war.
I don't know.
After the fact. Yes.
You cannot harm them. You cannot kill them. You cannot mistreat them. Any of that stuff.
So I want to ask you also, Buttercup, about another question. What do you think about the Zionism going on in America, controlling the whole fucking political? Do you like it?
You mean the narrative, like calling everything anti-Semitism? You mean, is that what you're talking about?
No. The whole United States, belong to those AIPAC or whatever.
Okay, so AIPAC is a lobbying organization which is funded by wealthy interests, including many like Jewish organizations, and they do advocate for Israel's interests above maybe like, you know, it does have immense influence over politics, and I think it's evil. I think AIPAC is evil. Is that what you're asking me? I think a lot of Jews would admit that AIPAC is evil, just like people who gun owners think NRA is evil because of our political system, which allows big interests to control our politics.
So do you think that a lot of Jews like you, they understand what's going on? And they support your idea?
In my particular social circle, yes. But I would say it's a big problem. It's probably like 40, 60%. If 40% of Jews are critical of AIPAC and critical of Israel and frustrated with this dialogue, and then probably 60% still blindly, reflexively support Israel no matter what it does. And so, but you're seeing a turning point, like you see in New York City. We elected a pro-Palestinian mayor, right? That shows New York City is the most Jewish city in America, and historically, right-wing Jews have had immense influence in New York City.
You won?
Well, no, he didn't win yet.
So he has the nomination. He's effectively won. But the fact that he's able to. But the fact that he was able to convince these right-wing, pro-Israel, reflexively pro-Israel organizations that like his politics is worth overcoming whatever worries they had about his political views shows that there's a shift in the way Jews are thinking about this thing. So I do think American Jews are shifting. I wish it was more because in my own family, I get very frustrated with sort of the denial about serious war crimes that are happening there. But I think overall, I'm seeing a shift. Yeah.
But do you feel that you are safe after all this shit happened?
Safe in what way? From Jews, or from
the people, normal people?
Normal people?
That you are the same, like the 60% with AIPAC. You think that a lot of people, they don't know that there is 40% against what is happening?
They know, and they call us traitors. They call us Nazis. They call us anti-Semites, and that's okay because we're comfortable with it. We're comfortable in our Jewishness, and we're confident. And I don't know if you've ever seen me in the Zionist rooms. They question my Jewishness every day. They call me anti-Semite. I don't care because I'm confident in my Jewishness, and I know I'm taking a moral stand.
But I commend you because it does take courage to stand up against people in your own community, even when you're on the right side. So I do commend you for, speaking up, speaking out. As Muslims should do when if there's Muslims committing genocide or doing something very evil, we should call that out as well. And then the second point, it's really sad when a Jew is called anti-Semite for their views. I think Norman Finkelstein is one of them who is is a very intelligent man who's well versed in all things related to Palestine and Israel. And I listened to a clip where he was called anti-Semitic, and he's like, how is that possible for
his parents survived the Holocaust? It's ridiculous.
I do want to add one thing, Edward. You said, or somebody said. So Amici Eliyahu is one of the heritage ministers. You know what he said? He said these people that are under Hamas captivity, they're actually prisoner of wars. Well, what's your take on this? I mean, anybody can chime in. Do you guys think that they're prisoners or they're hostages?
Wait, who said that? Who said?
Amici Eliyahu, it's a heritage minister. He said
Amichai Eliyahu.
Yeah, Amici. I don't know how to say his name, but Amichai Eliyahu. He's the one. He's a genocidal psychopath. He said it. He said whoever's under Hamas captivity, they're actually prisoners.
What's the context? I don't know what you're talking about because if he's a right-wing minister, why would he say that?
Yeah, he said that. It was a post in Times of Israel. Let me put the link.
Okay. He may be being honest about the fact that everyone who's still held captive in Gaza were serving in the IDF. Is that not right?
I don't think that's his intention. I'm confused why he would say that because he's like one of the most far-right fucking retarded ministers in the Israeli government. Why would he say something that supports the Hamas narrative?
I have a theory. He may, if you say civilians, then the Israeli public may want negotiations. But if you say they're military, well, then soldiers can be sacrificed because that's kind of the point of soldiers. They fight.
So I want to read the article to understand the context. Maybe that's what he was intending, but I'm trying to understand how that fits with his far-right psychotic narrative.
He might be saying, like, there's no need to negotiate more for hostages because they're not really hostages there.
Yeah, I'll read it out to the room. I post a link in the chat. It says, Minister says hostages should be labeled prisoners. They're released delayed until war ends. MHA Eliyahu, prisoners of war are only dealt with after victory first. Hamas should be defeated. Yair Golan, the government decided long ago to sacrifice the hostages.
Exactly. So he's saying, don't worry about returning the hostages. Those are soldiers. They're going to be sacrificed.
You're right. This is
we
consistent.
Need to kill everyone.
This is consistent with the far right, which has placed defeating Hamas over the hostages, and they've come full circle. They've come from like, oh, what about our hostages, to let's fuck the hostages. Like, we don't care. We mostly care about killing Hamas, and that's been a very divisive topic in Israeli society.
So, can we say that these are prisoners, not hostages anymore?
Yeah.
Because they're soldiers?
No,
I mean, I don't know. I don't have a judgment call.
I'm talking about from the Israeli side.
What was the question
Zionist narrative? So the Zionist narrative is, right, I put the link in the chat. According to this heritage minister and his psychopath followers, they believe that these people are prisoners. They're not hostages.
Yeah, but we're going on a fucking genocidal fucking psycho we're judging based on his opinion.
So Buttercup, you fight the Zionists with the Zionist state?
I do fight the Zionists, but why are you using this guy?
It's because you would use this Zionist talking point.
No, I wouldn't cite him as. I only use credible sources, like credible.
This is credible. He's a heritage minister.
He's not a pragmat. He's not a pragmatist. He's a fucking psycho that no one
He's a government official. Yes or no?
Yeah, but mainstream Israelis don't see him as mainstream.
I understand, but government official.
He's not useful to me. That's all. I'm saying I appreciate what you're saying, but I don't think he's useful for the argument because even Israelis acknowledge that he's a fucking psychotic genocidal maniac.
Yeah, they're all genocidal maniacs. You think Ben Gvir is not genocidal?
100%. I don't use him as a source either. I use people that are pragmatists and centrists and.
Moshe Yaalon, they look at him as pro-Hamas. He's the one that said ethnic cleansing, and
But he wasn't. Because he was a defense minister for many years. He's much military experience. He's a pragmatist, right? He thinks about Israel's long-term national security. He doesn't only think about bailing out Hamas. They see him as like a legitimate authority on military. Amichai is like a clown that was just put in there like a lackey for Netanyahu to keep him in power. No one takes him seriously. That's the difference. I only cite people who they take seriously, like Moshe Yaalon or Gallant, who said that the war should have ended a year ago, right? These are reputable, grizzled.
Crimes as well, right?
He is. He's a war criminal. He's a monster. But I agree with him that the war should have ended a long time ago, right? We can agree on one thing and disagree on others.
Yeah, but they don't respect him. If you go into the Zionist room, they don't respect Moshe Yaalon, the book.
They don't respect Amichai either. They say, oh, he doesn't represent us. That's what they say about him.
But they respect Ben Gvir, all of these psychopaths that are in there. Like,
Ben Gvir? I've talked to them about it, and they excuse them, but they don't respect them. They say, well, he's not really a Kahanist. They'll say shit like that.
The point of Ben mentioned this is that the difference between what Misha is asking, the difference between hostages and prisoners of war. And generally, hostages are people are presented.
Yeah, the broader theme, I agree. I agree that the Palestinians taken are also hostages.
Yeah,
because they are.
100%.
So basically yes. That's the thing because.
But I don't think Amichai is going to support my arguments with the Zionists. Honestly, like I think I need to use sources they see as credible.
Buttercup, are you an Israeli Jew or an American Jew?
American, but I have family in Israel.
What's your view on Zionism?
On Zionism, I believe that it's not sustainable and it failed in its efforts to. There's two kinds of anti-Zionists. There are those that think that it was flawed to begin with, and there are those that believe that it's failed to, it was this dated thing. It happened. We can't change it, but we need a new model that's more sustainable. So I've expressed this many times that we need to create a new state that gives everyone equal rights under the law. I'm kind of pro one state, but if people can't get along, maybe it's two states. But ultimately, it's urgent to me for both Palestinians and also for Jewish sustainability for Palestinians to have equal rights under the law and to be able to have freedom of movement and agency and sovereignty. Like, it's fucking urgent, and it's for both the Palestinians and obviously the Jewish history and a Jewish reckoning. Like, it's unconscionable what happened here in Gaza and what happened for the last 80 years.
Yeah, so do you believe that you need Zionism to be a Jewish person?
No, of course not. Judaism way preceded Zionism by thousands of years. Who gives a shit about Zionism? This is a modern movement.
No, well said. Yeah, definitely. It's a modern movement, late 1800s, espoused by Theodor Herzl. Actually, there's other Zionist thought leaders years before him, but he's known as the father of Zionism. This is not to equate, because that's what the Zionist organizations want to do. Zionist lobby groups, human rights organizations like ADL, quote unquote human rights organizations like ADL, they want to equate Zionism with Judaism. They're inseparable, and that Jewish Israel, the state of Israel, is inseparable to Jewish identity. Hence the flag burning controversy last a week ago. So, but no, I mean, a lot of Jews like Buttercup and others we've heard from, others, here in Clubhouse, other prominent Jews in the media, scholars.
We're repulsed by this. We feel like Zionism, like when you attach your religion and your culture. I know some people have sentimental, like have strong identity and cultures and religion and are religious people in this room. When you attach your religion to a political movement, which doesn't make decisions based on morality, they make decisions, usually one immoral act over another, you tarnish the religion and you tarnish the culture. So it's tarnished thousands of years of history, which, especially coming out of World War II, and it's really repulsive to me that we've attached ourselves to a political movement that has engaged in these war crimes. It's tarnished our culture and religion, and it's horrific, and it's urgent that it needs to stop.
I would feel the same as a Muslim if Zionism was, a Muslim ideology or espoused by some Muslims. Dan has a comment here. How are Palestinian prisoners hostages now? That would be the most demented thing I've heard. What would be the incentive to have them as hostages and motivate Hamas hostages? More religion, you're secular, you don't care about the religion, stuff like that. Okay. Well, Buttercup, you can address the second comment, but the first comment, because that's directed towards you. The first comment, well, yes, Dan, Israel has a history of taking hostages, Palestinian hostages, by the thousands over the decades, far outnumbering the number of hostages Palestinians have taken. Palestinians have responded to Israeli terrorism by taking hostages as leverage. Zionist government of Israel takes hostages, Palestinian hostages, as leverage against Palestinians, as bargaining chips. They've taken hostage, for example, Marwan Barghouti, right? You can call him prisoners, but he's a hostage. They take hostage kids. They lock them up. They threaten their parents. They want to silence them. They use them as bargaining
100%.
chips. Yeah, so that's helped you understand better, Dan. And then Buttercup, people want to address his second comment.
I just want to ask Buttercup.
Wait, hold on. Before
last
you ask,
question.
Can you
What was the second comment? I missed it.
He says, "Mar religion, Buttercup, you're secular. You don't care about the religion. Stop playing."
You can just respond in the chat, and you don't have to respond here. There's people that want to speak.
Yeah.
So can I ask her a question, please?
And Sam says they're Jewish when it's convenient. So
just Dean, you can respond to it in the chat, brother. This app is made for the voice chat. We're not here to respond to every message. You
no,
can
I'm just saying for Buttercup to respond to that.
We have a big stage here. We need people voice.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
If you're not on stage, you're a dimmy.
Can I ask a question?
Yo, what's up? How y'all doing?
Yeah, go on 1-1.
Yeah, I just want to ask Buttercup, because she's a real Jew. Do you have like a grandma, grandpa around you somewhere?
A grandparent?
Yeah, no, old people from Jew.
Sure.
Yeah, because I wanna know. Have you heard about something called 80 years curse on Jewish people? I don't know.
I've heard this theory. I just don't, it seems like superstition to me. I haven't heard it from Jewish people. I've heard it from Arab people that are friends of mine.
Only from Arab, right?
Yeah.
But can you ask?
Jewish people don't talk about this.
Even your old people?
No, they don't talk about the 80-year curse.
They're invincible.
I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, I don't really believe in superstitions like that, and also it's not part of the Jewish tradition. But I have heard it from my friends who are Palestinian, who said, "Oh, did you hear about this?" Like, they've asked me this a lot.
Yeah, but
And I never heard of it. I've never heard of it in my life, honestly.
But your old people, they don't.
No. And actually, I wanted to. This actually, what's his name? I think Dean asked me, or someone asked me what Sam was saying about whether I'm like a real Jew. I'm like more Jewishly literate than 90% of the people who live in the Zionist room. They don't know anything. Like, I grew up with a very traditional Jewish background, and I'm much more familiar with the Jewish texts and Jewish history and Jewish culture than any of them. And so whenever they try to challenge me and tell me I'm not a real Jew, I end up they fucking lose because they can't take the heat. Like, they don't know Jewish tradition and scripture the way I do. And so they always try to, instead of debating me on the issues, they just come after me and tell me I'm not a real Jew because it's like very threatening to them that a Jew would say these things.
With that being said, do you support the way the state of Israel was established?
So I honestly, like, I don't have an opinion about that. I think, I don't know because I wasn't there, and
but you know the book, right?
So let me tell you. When I learned about this, the way Israel was established, I learned only half of the story. And then when I turned 18 and I started to read historians, including Israeli historians, it changed my view. And I learned that they're not the most moral army in the world, and there were massacres, and there was a Nakba, and there was horrific things happened. But I guess generally, I would say I'm forward looking. Like, we can't change the past. Horrific things happen. There's an original sin, right? Just like in America, there's an original sin. We wiped out the Native Americans, and we need to be accountable, and there needs to be reparations. But the fact is, like, in order for less people to die, we need to look forward. So generally, yes, I 100% recognize the crimes that happened in 1948. I don't see it as this big victory of Jewish sovereignty. I think we need to acknowledge those crimes and pay reparations.
47 though.
It started before that with our militias, actually.
Oh yeah, the.
Just make a point here. I'm an honest Jew.
I want to make.
Can I make a quick point? I want to point out my fellow Jews' behavior. You were asked if you support the way Israel was established, and you went on this long go around. I'd recommend the documentary Tantura to you. Okay, It talks about our Jewish heroes that massacred and raped underage Palestinian girls to the point of death, and they laugh about it.
I really respect the art, to be honest, Jew.
Let me finish.
I respect
they laugh about it. So you were asked if you support the way Israel was founded. We can give you all these sources. It's a simple yes or no. We don't need a roundabout. You could say no, you don't support the way it's founded. Great, no problem. You could say yes, but it doesn't have to be a long-winded answer. I support the way it was founded because I believe in Jewish supremacy. Right? I don't really care about Palestinians.
But listen, man, I answered this question because according to the book and the teachings of the book, it's completely illegal to establish the state the way it was established, right? And she said that she knows the book and she's the most literate person on this app.
Which book are you talking about? Torah, or like which book are you talking about?
Whatever book, you can choose one of the 5 and tell me if it aligns with any of the teachings of the books. You can pick and choose. I give you that option.
No, I think Talmud, he asked, I think it's okay for them in Talmud.
No,
that's what I get to know.
It's not okay.
Are you sure?
Until the Messiah comes?
Yeah. Evangelical.
So where is the Messiah?
He's coming after 3 years.
The evangelicals are speeding that process up.
So tell me which book you're talking about so I can talk about it. I just don't. There's like you mentioned 5 books of the Torah, and then there's
No, I didn't mention 5 books. I said you pick and choose according to your religion, your teachings. Do you support the way the state of Israel was established?
I don't know that it mentions that in the Torah. Like, I don't think it mentions a future state of Israel. I think historically, if you look at Jewish history, which I learned in depth in my childhood education, when the last time they started a state, it was a huge travesty for the Jews. It ended up in their destruction. There was Bar Kokhba started a state, and they actually had the old shekel, and it ended up in the worst catastrophe in Jewish history.
Let me try to make it easier for you. What does any of your books say about establishing a state?
So the only other time Israel established a state, like 3,000 years ago, it ended up in catastrophe for the Jews.
I'm not asking you that. I'm not
There's no directive that says you have to establish a state. No, in the
So
Torah.
what does the book say about establish? So the book doesn't mention anything about establishing a state for the Jews.
No, and the last time they did it, it was a horrific outcome.
So it doesn't say that you have to wait for the Messiah until you establish a state.
So some religious Jews feel that they're religious
I'm not talking about
anti-Zionists.
religious Jews. I'm talking about the book itself.
The book says, they call it they don't talk anything about a state, but they talk about the Beis HaMikdash and these religious institutions, but doesn't say anything about like a formal government. So it's not, I don't think it's mutually exclusive that Palestinians can live in the land and have equal rights under the law. And also the religious goal of having like sort of whatever the, ultimate messianic. Listen, the Messiah is something that everyone, all Abrahamic religions believe in, but like, let's be real, it hasn't happened around anything, and let's be honest about that. But I understand that in the scripture, there's talk about it all the time, but like they all conflict with each other. They all involve some like great war. Like, let's be realistic and pragmatic here. Let's not talk about great.
Thank you. You answered. Thank you.
But the other thing you said, the 80-year curse, if you Google it, if the Israelis or the Jewish folks talk about it, they do talk about it.
I'm telling you, I'm like very knowledgeable about all different sects of Judaism and what they talk about. They don't talk about the 80-year curse. I've only heard it from Palestinian close friends who come for Shabbat all the time to my parents' house.
Actually,
Hold on. If you Google it right now, right, you'll be able to.
Google's not reality. I'm telling you something as someone who's familiar with every sect of Judaism. No one talks about this.
So are you aware of Lev Tahor?
Lev Tahor is like a cult that's been banned from Israel. They're not even considered part of Judaism.
So they're not. But it started from Israel, though.
Yeah, but they were banned and they're kicked out, right? They're like a crazy.
Were all of them
cult.
kicked out, or some of them?
I just know that it's illegal in Israel, that cults, and they moved to Guatemala to try to find. They're just like a weird cult. They don't represent Judaism any more than any other cult. I don't know how that's real.
Because they claim that they're Jewish.
We flushed them out of our society.
They are Jewish. They're a cult within Judaism.
We canceled them.
But they don't represent the mainstream at all, or even like the fringe.
We canceled them, Amir. We took care of them.
Thank you, honest Jew.
Yeah, there is nothing kosher about the.
I think they followed the extreme version of Judaism, right?
Yeah.
No, they're a spin-off. They're a spin-off. There's a lot of spin-offs. I don't know if you've been to Israel, but there's a lot of weird, culty spin-off shit. Like, people are all kinds of. It attracts all the weirdos,
Like the Satmar.
The Satmars are fairly mainstream compared to Lev Tahor. Lev Tahor, they are really considered an extreme interpretation.
Yeah.
But I've met modern Orthodox Jews, I've met ultra-Orthodox Jews, I've met Reform, Conservative, and I've learned deeply about all of these movements and what they believe, and none of them believe in this 80-year-old course. I've only heard it from Palestinians.
So Amir, actually, I don't know if Amir's the one that said it. I don't think the 80-year is part of the religion.
It's not at all. There's no mention of it. I'm proficient in all the books of the Jews.
I didn't say about the 80
But it
years.
did happen.
I heard it from, I think, one of the officials. Did he not come on TV or something? Or was it one of the officials?
This never
from,
happened. I wouldn't know.
Israel?
No. I literally, I studied all these books as a kid. I know them. They don't talk about 80-year-old.
But it does happen. It does exist.
It exists in the Palestinian narrative, not in the Jewish narrative. I don't know. Maybe it's real, but it's
absolutely not in the Palestinian narrative.
I've only heard it from Palestinians. I've never heard it from Jews, and I'm familiar with all the different variations of Judaism.
Yeah, sure, but look it up.
So you never heard of
Google's not reality, dude.
You never heard of what Abu said earlier when he said that some Jews say that they're not promised a land until the Messiah comes. You've never heard.
No, that I've heard for sure. There's ultra-Orthodox Jews who 100%. Yeah. There's anti-Zionist Orthodox Jews, and they come from a religious perspective. They think that the scripture, the way
familiar with them. I put the link in the chat. This is an Israeli organization. See if they're Jewish. Can you verify it, Abu? I put the link in there.
You can continue, Buttercup, because you first said that it's not in the religion. And now you're agreeing that you have to wait for the Messiah. So
No. I said the 80-year curse is not in religion, but the idea, the anti-Zionism is in the religion.
the land, establishing the land.
What does that have to do with the 80-year curse? The 80-year curse.
I'm just going back because
No. The anti-Zionist Judaism, it has a long legacy and it's legitimate and it's existed in all streams of Orthodoxy. Although after the Holocaust, they kind of all moved to the Zionist cause. But previously, almost 100% of religious practicing Jews were against Zionism because they believed that it shouldn't be a secular state; it should only be delivered by God. And if you believe in some messianic age, then yes, it'd be delivered by God. But if you don't, sort of the evangelicals have a really horrific outcome. Every Abrahamic faith has a horrific outcome during the end of times, but none of it ever happens. And so we maintain the status quo and people live peacefully. Also, Judaism, like Christianity, like Islam, have some horrific apocalyptic outcome, and that prevents the creation of a state because you have to wait for the apocalyptic outcome, right? And because that never happens, ultimately that's a bulwark against the violent conquering of the people because they're waiting for the religious Messiah to come down from heaven and solve it.
Where does this in what scripture is this present?
There's a lot of all over it talks
because
about
earlier you said it's not in any scripture.
No, I said the 80-year curse is not in any scripture. Messiah is all over the scripture.
The 80-year curse came 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, so I was only responding to Amir's talking about the 80-year curse. Messiah is all over the scripture.
So, Amir, this person, the link that you sent, he's a Jewish
journalist.
So I had never heard of this guy. I'll look into him, but I'm telling you,
He is associated with Mizrahi.
Because the website says Mizrahi.
No, just look him up. Look him up.
His name.
I'm looking him up.
Yeah.
Who is this
and
guy?
Actually, the number 80 is mentioned a lot in Judaism.
Where?
In your teachings.
Which one? There's so many books.
Yeah, let me look it up here because I think we went over it yesterday. But you can look up this person from your end and see if he's
I mean, he might be just one nut job academic, I haven't.
So we can't say.
I'm telling you, I'm really familiar with every sect of Judaism.
Listen. This is the problem.
It's a Mizrahi organization.
With you guys is that first you say no, and then when we're close to finding something about them, you say maybe.
No, I don't say maybe. I don't.
Maybe
no.
Look it up, bro.
No, you're wrong. Abu, you're wrong. Abu, I'm familiar with all of the script. Literally, I had to study all of the books.
You're not because you said it doesn't.
This one random fucking academic, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
About the Messiah, you said no.
Messianic, I never said no about the Messiah. Messianic is foundational to Jewish belief.
So what does your teaching say about establishing a state before the Messiah?
I already told you that. I said there's a Messianic Messiah is foundational to Jewish belief, 100%. The religious Jews think is that a secular state has no justification. They think that ultimately you have to wait for the Messiah, which never fucking happens. So you can wait forever. Just like the evangelical Jews have some weird apocalyptic vision for the Messiah. Every Abrahamic faith has apocalyptic vision for the Messiah, including Jews, and that's why the religious Jews oppose the Zionist state because they're waiting for the Messiah.
How do you call it weird if it's something that's literally mentioned in your book? I don't know how the fuck is that weird.
I'm not a religious Jew. I think it's weird, but I respect it and I've learned it in depth because I grew up with a traditional Judaism.
She's saying it never happened, and she doesn't think it's going to. Because we've waited too long. She's been repeating herself.
Buttercup, you said you're familiar with a lot of the books. Does that include the Talmud?
Yes, I actually, the other day they told me I'm not a real Jew, and they started quizzing me on really basic shit about Judaism, and I recited the Talmud by heart in Hebrew. And even then, because they don't know the Talmud, they thought it was...
they don't know. Most of them only know that
they
they're
know
very
nothing.
basic.
They're fucking ignorant.
Yeah. They didn't even know that
I had to argue with them about the Israelite kingdom and how it broke up, and like they had no idea. I'm like, why am I arguing with you about your own history?
They don't know shit.